Hey everyone, we've got our snapshot listener in, we're listening for document changes, and things seem to be working well. However, we have a bit of an issue. If we click on one of these categories and go to the products, and then we come back, you'll see we get double the items. So why is that? Well, if we take a look at our listener, we remove it in View Will Disappear after we go to the categories, and then we add it back in View Did Appear, which then goes through and does everything in here. And that's why we are getting double the categories. Now this is in line with Firebase recommendations. They posted a blog post a while back called Best Practices for the iOS UI View Controller and Firebase. Now this article is about Firebase real-time database, but the same holds true for Firestore. Now, the first thing that they talk about is creating the listeners in View Will Appear, not in View Did Load. And then to remove the listeners in View Did Disappear. And so the reason for this is to avoid leaky listeners. And he says here that a leaky listener is a listener that is consuming memory to store data that isn't displayed or accessed. This is especially an issue when navigating using a UI navigation controller, which we are doing, since the root controller isn't removed from memory when navigating to a detail controller. This means a root controller will continue to synchronize data if the listener isn't removed when navigating away. This action takes up needless bandwidth and memory. The thought of removing the listener might sound unappealing. You may think you need to keep your listener open to avoid downloading the same data again. But, and this is the key, this is unnecessary because Firebase SDKs come baked in with caching and offline data persistence. This feature keeps the client from having to fetch recently downloaded data. So that solves all our problems. That's fantastic. So we don't need to worry about just because we were here a second ago and we're coming back, we aren't actually downloading, we aren't actually making Firestore reads that count towards our quota. So I think in the past lessons I have warned against that. But if it's within a short time, I believe it is 30 minutes, then it is going to keep the same cached data, so you don't have to worry about going from one screen and then right back and worrying that that's actually doing, hundreds of new reads. It's going to be grabbing that from the Firestore cache. So that's fantastic. So to fix our issue, what do we need to do? All we need to do is on View Will Disappear. After we remove our listener, we just need to clear our cache, say categories not clear our cache, clear our categories by saying categories.remove all, and then reload our collection view. And that should be all we need to do. Let's go ahead and run this and check it out. All right, so here we are. Let's go to landscape and then come back and we reload from our Firestore cache. Perfect. All right, so that is looking good. I think we can move on now to our next two functions that we need to work with, on document modified and on document removed. And we'll work on that in the next one. I'll see you there.